Hi, my name is Ilkin. I'm the author of Blue Mountain Mist. I'm sitting today in our little historical society doing another entry, and this entry is also part of C3's history. So last night, again, they bypassed Secret Service. They got Hanna's face slightly altered. You won't notice it, but she does. And what they're trying to do is do an injury to a degree that they don't want to kill, but to a degree that she comes out of media. Now, why does she not want to come out of media? Because she has to lecture. So for them, because they're not academic backing, for them, that lecturing wants to be channeled via United States media. We don't know what professors are going to ask or how they're going to grill you. We don't know any of the things, the single lines of the 35,000 pages. I don't have the time or energy. They're just going to have to buy a lecture and sit and watch it. Now, there's a couple of things here. First of all, what is Hanna's concern? Hanna's concern is the globe looked at beauty or young age, and they opted for that instead of the real authentic female. That's number one. Number two, what did that do? They unleashed, China and India were battling. They unleashed 1 billion people from India around the world trying to push Indian. There is some challenges with that. The first one is some of these individuals feel privileged to have certain things which are not worthy of them. For example, that is intertwined with the A5 scandal in Turkey, where media was taking raped kids via Hanna's inheritance home. Number two, that are some of the challenges. They want that dumbification project. And because they were so heavily intertwined as squalor children with the United States military, they started doing, facial, making themselves, bleaching young little boys to be white, bleaching them, like literally bleaching them and letting them grow up and putting them into white settings. That is how dirty it is. That poor, poor, poor child. Followed with number three, the richest men have a thing for transgender pussy. I mean, it's one of the most horrific things. We're talking about full ass, not a dip here and have fun and a dip there. We're talking full ass blown out. We don't want that either. We want even the female of the gay man to utilize more toys because there's no sensory inside that particular hole. All female gay men have been raped several times, possibly hundreds of times. It's not a good thing. You can blow somebody, yes, by all means, but don't blow out someone's poor asshole. We want a different world. So between them unleashing a whole bunch and making gorgeous little Indian children white, between the blown out assholes in the vicinity, between United States media who doesn't know nothing of what Hanna's going to produce and is up her yard in her backyard barking orders because that's just how they are. They are alpha personalities at that high level. These are the VIPs, So we actually want a better world, but India now is fighting with China. And they came into Canada, which is great. They changed up a lot of the demographics using the United States military. That is the problem. That's number one. Then they're fueling money to Iran. It got so dirty. It's part of C3's history. But I actually want a lot of these men to really grow up in terms of looking at alternatives for entertainment because they break into females' houses and give them cancer faces. We don't want stuff like that. They are punishing women, and women are they don't know. They are punishing women because they need status quotas for medicals, and back in the day, you did too much shopping. They are punishing women. They are pushing pretty gay men that are squalor children that feel a lot of pain to get to that particular level. using constantly an asshole. We don't want stuff like that. We want a better world. I am pushing the real evolve. They just brought in a whole bunch of rich Christians that they whacked off. And now, even next door, I'm looking at her, and the way my thought was running, because we are connected, intel chip wise, she's looking at me. And I know she's a white woman, but she's not a white woman. And these people changed places. The Orthodox Jews were moved elsewhere, and then the Greeks, and then this, and the Greeks became Indian, and the people on me are even Turkish themselves, possibly, but they're flamers who are mating with India. And then China wants to be the new Jew, and Africa wants to be the new Jew, and our world got really, really full of tyranny. So first of all, we want to televise what exactly was done to me. Again, why is it so important? Because we're not punishing societies. Remember, there's Pearl Harbor history with China that continuously Europe would crush. There's then the Kurds, who came, one section of it came from India, who aligned themselves with India. Then the other ones were killed, the ones who aligned themselves with Turkey. It got so ugly. We were at 9.5 billion people in 1998. And as Hanna generated, this is where we are today. A whole 1 billion people globally scattered because they're letting their imaginary holy land rest as they walk around a doll like male. To be at that level, and you're a beautiful, beautiful male, and you shame women to be at that level. You tortured the fuck out of a child. We don't do that. Mama tells you don't do that because that is a child that belongs to Hanna in her psychology anyway. She followed with in housing. Hanna raised many mixed kids. They're all gone now. It's not funny. These things are not funny. Well, mixed kids are part of a bad white women wanting black cock, something psychology like that. Well, the Skies in the real version picked a woman who was banging a Zulu man. There's a reason for that. All of these are markers for the future. There is a problem. What is the problem? She can't do part 2. Why is that? Because if you're bypassing Secret Service and you want to alter someone's face and you have nothing better to do with your pathetic lives in your white little houses with nothing on it, I think you really need to reevaluate yourself as a person and try to better yourself. This is nothing about India power and money. Hanna has Indian children. This has to do with the psychology of fear. Historically, Europe, a dime a dozen for Indian kids being abused. Historically, millions of Indian kids had to go through this device to get to the point of being able to tag someone like Hanna. Followed with Africa. Then they unleashed into Africa and started killing Negro because it's that fear, the fear of not knowing other races because you're part of a one culture, when Turkic people are part of global different colors and races and Russians and Africans, and we want that color. But what about Asia's desire for new Jews? They want to be the Turkic people, but I'm Turkic. The Sky picked Turkic. The Sky didn't pick Chinese. The Sky picked a Sky Turk who's a Turkologist, technically backing, who is a Negro Muslim female. That's what the Sky picked. But then they had to alter the story and this, but she's worth 40 billion. She can't release part 2 if you get my arm and you rip it off and you're blowing our police and you're bringing hookers and this and that. This is the kind of challenges Hanna's running. We don't want our children to be squalorly asses blown out. Number one, that's the key thing. We don't want their asses blown out. A dip, that's all right. You want to bind, that's all right. But we don't want their asses blown out. It's not a military target practice. We have some human ethics. What was Hanna studying, which is myself, in 2003? Hanna was studying ethics. But then the hornet's nest now are fueling the Indians. Why is that? Well, they need another 10,000 people. Hey, let's use whites this time. And Hannah's raising her eyebrows. We don't use anybody. We just remodify and re-evolve and humanize this project. Leave the divination portion, which is really just a message of love to the skies, a renewal of someone from Central Asia into Anatolia, into Canada, which is a really fluky story. We leave that whole thing 200, 300, 500 years from now. What we're focused on is there's a chosen. She wants to finish what she asked permission for in 2008 without the friggin' bypassing Secret Service by putting them down and snipers here and snipers there, without any of that, and just co-living more peacefully in a better world without fraud. Can we function without fraud? Well, when Hanna mentioned it, immediately all the fraudsters came. What do you mean, no fraud? But that's entertainment. Well, it's entertainment for only you. You're giving women cancer faces. You're giving our children asses blown out. We're talking 4 and 5 years old using Anna's home, and that's the only reason why she knows. You're doing a lot of unnecessary stuff, and we need variety. God, we need variety, because each community produces a different type of intelligence. Some are musically inclined, some are basketball inclined, some are technology inclined, some are medical. When we unleash 1 billion people, and now we have Indian people playing basketball, we have a serious challenge, because it's just not the same as a Michael Jordan. But it's not just about sports. In blacks are very earthly in a weird way. A lot of them are vegan and are trying to better themselves, and they are very exotic in thinking. Think about it. They are Afrikanis people, very, very different. Once upon a time, Africa was very, very wealthy, and they reigned as kings and queens before the white man with his recessive genes went into Africa and abused the fuck out of the Africans. Well, and then all of a sudden, well, we need medical meat. Let's go into Africa. So they started whacking off people. We're talking 9.5 billion in 1998, when my brother released Turkic as the first language, to today's, God knows, I'm so mortified of the statistics, how low it is. I mean, what are you trying to do? It's not a good thing. Whoever is pushing, opening that Indian door and using it as theatrical works of art, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So we actually want to finish part 2, and that is what Hanna is pushing, and she doesn't care. Like I said, someone chose a female that you're looking at now. She got altered so many times in this battles. Someone chose this female. There's a reason. It's a woman, first of all. It's not a man with a cock. It's a female. It's 100% solid female, and the Turks know this. You know, you have to look at back history to understand this female. While everybody was pillaging Canada, Hanna was the only one not stealing. Hanna is solid in terms of family, like a solid family. So when we think of psychology and management, we want that solid behavior, because we want to punish the squalors, because not so much punish them, because when it becomes 1 billion of them now, we need to reduce populations and educate them, because they're just out of hand now. And why are they out of hand? Because I threw a cracker at them and it's like 1,000 hyenas coming for a piece of meat. That is the same analogy. And it's very scary, the psychology of what is done, because Canada is one of those countries that are very trusting and is very broad and polite, but that's not the case when you unleash 1 billion people. It's really not funny. But why are they like that? Because they were left socially underdeveloped. Same with the Kurds, same with the Afrikanis, the targets on the Chinese. All of these are building pressures, and we don't want that pressure. We actually want a world that is stable. So the minute Hanna wanted to change one little vicinity in terms of a model, all of these people came in, and we actually are asking them to, be proper in conduct, really be proper. These houses that are owned by Canadians are not your toys. there was a lot of civilian deaths, and time is running. There's only one chosen, and there's a particular reason why she came to this earth, no different than Christ, probably split into 15,000 characters, one person. That is the future that is evolving. So we don't want to let Lucifer win. We want to protect from the smallest to the highest. We want to even protect our armed forces and our military men that got abused to high hell. We want a different type of reigning that involves every single culture for added flavors. But how do you organize that? And that is where I am right now. Unfortunately, when you have someone bypassing Secret Service with an intel device that's really lethal, you're just aggravating a chosen for no reason, and she's already went through the crucifixion. So this is where we are today, part 2. Please monitor your settings. We want more natural, rugged environments that are healthy for humans, but health counters hornet's nest. You're gonna watch Hanna build everything as a sample. Now it might not work, but at least this female tried, and that's the key. Thank you and have a good day.